Before we go to lunch, we are very happy to have one of the really leaders at MSU and also in our sustainability efforts to give us some remarks. As we have heard from today's talks, many of the environmental challenges facing ours are wicked and complicated problems. And to solve them really requires interdisciplinary efforts and also to require policies that are based upon hard science. And that is really the reason that over 10 years ago, ESPP was created at MSU. One of the driving forces behind the creation of ESPP was then Provost Luan Simon. And over the years, ESPP has received the support from from all of our stakeholders, students, and researchers, and under the leadership of now President Simon. President Simon has long been a leader in environmental sustainability. MSU has one of the greenest campuses in the nation. And since 2010, our power plant has reduced its coal use by 53%. And now we offer over 425 sustainability-related courses. And under President Simon's leadership, MSU has expanded its research in biofuels, green energy, safe water, agriculture to address world hunger. Those are all of the issues central to the theme of our symposium. So I'm very honored to have this opportunity to introduce Luan Simon, the 20th president of Michigan State University.
Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction. I think I'm a pragmatist for sure. I hope I'm a value-centered pragmatist that does try to continue to push the envelope with big ideas on one end and recognizing that using the comment of 2 feet, you have to sort of take some steps along the way to try to achieve what you need to do. I wanted to come by today simply to thank you all. These are such important discussions, not only because they're here and people are coming from a number of places to present ideas, because this represents the possibility of ands as opposed to ors. Because these are very complex issues. There are different ways of looking at them. But by beginning to think of what the world in terms of ands and not ors, there's always going to be a voice for the activist, people who will push wherever you are to a better future. Those voices always have to be considered. But we have to have a strategy and a way to get there that it is inclusive, it promotes prosperity in a broad sense, and it also is, as you all are worrying about, based on the best available information. And that really was ESPP's purpose when it was established. And I want to thank you for your leadership and the way you've brought it forward. And I also wanted to acknowledge Barbara Sawyer-Koch and Professor Koch for the work that they've done in providing support for this work to continue. Independent of a grant, independent of an industry specification, all those kinds of things that tend to put a lens on what's happening. This has no such lens. It is just people from across the world, hopefully, as this develops across the country, from different perspectives coming together to find those ands, and then that world of possibilities. And then for us to be dedicated, wherever we sit in the world, to pursuing the way to implement those possibilities in ways that bend the curve. And it really isn't, from my perspective, that simple or that complex. Always recognizing that in the future, we've got to bend the curve more than we have in the past. But at the same time, we need to avoid making decisions today that make it impossible to bend the curve tomorrow. And that's really what you all are talking about in varieties of ways. And it is very, very difficult. So it was important for me not only to thank Barbara and her leadership, but to come over and say thank you to you. Because this is not about today's conversation or only about this conference. It's about every day's conversation and the way in which we can communicate beyond the conference to make this a continuing dialogue. So thank you very much.